Welcome back, guys. Automotive Inc. here. If you are new to the channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button, give me a like at the end of the video, and slap that notification bell symbol so you know when there's new content. Today I am actually out driving in a 2021 GMC Denali 2500 with the 6.6 diesel 10-speed Allison. And yeah, let's pan around the interior, show you what it looks like. So I don't know about you guys, but I like these kind of gauges. Probably can't see the heads-up display in here. The old screen, of course. Cruise down here, we got all the amenities. So this truck right here has about 15,000 miles on it. Of course, we haven't done any highway speeds, and then we've only went 18 miles, but so far, 22.3 miles a gallon. Now, I know I argue that gas can do just as much as what most people need, and the diesel is nice, don't get me wrong. One thing I can tell you though, in this truck with 15,000 miles is it looks pretty good. Now, this is the top of the line, so it has the utmost of the best materials that GMC is going to offer. And at 15,000 miles, it wears pretty good. The paint looks good still. Obviously, this person takes care of their vehicle. Inside, the materials still look good where you touch often. Lots and lots of soft touch material everywhere in the entire truck. I will tell you this though, if you guys have seen my new videos on my new 24 Lariat, is same thing with the L8T and Allison. The power delivery is just smooth as all get out on this thing. I mean, I still think that Chevys and GMCs ride the best of all the trucks, although the seats are the most firm. In the Denali, these feel a little bit more softer than the cloth ones. I'm okay either way. I just know my wife prefers the softer seats in the Ford, but these are a little bit more plush than typical. Now, I will tell you, in the new 24 Super Duty, which we've had a myriad of issues already, haven't even towed with it yet. With that 430, I don't know if it's the 430 or the torque shift, but you can feel a definitive shift every gear. No matter what mode you do, it's bump, bump, bump right through every gear. Very, very not hard. In normal mode, it's stiffer. In the actual eco mode, it's not as stiff. But man, it is not a powerhouse like I remember when I had the 355s. But that's what you get in a Tremor, is the 430. Now, Chevy only gives you one option with their gas and one option with the diesel. That is 342s, and that doesn't matter if you get a 1-ton dually or not. If you get the gas, you're going to get a 373. Now, I will tell you, with this Allison in this truck, the power delivery, you can't even hear the engine. So if you're a guy that just loves the turbo spool and you love the sound of that diesel, this isn't going to be the one that's just going to blow your mind. It is so quiet in here. Like I've said before with the gas, even the gas Chevy is so quiet inside. Even under full load, it's substantially quieter than the Godzilla in both the 22 and the new 24. And pretty much every Godzilla I've driven, and the Power Stroke is louder than that and has that, you know, cool Power Stroke sound. Now this one, just smooth beast power. Now again, my issues with diesels are diesels are not made to do my kind of driving, which is most of the time I am just commuting in it. So that typically is not good on these diesels. It actually says it in most owner's manual that excessive idling, excessive short commutes is going to have issues. So you have to really watch when it says it needs a regen. But I will tell you that having driven the L8T all last summer, Kong, who's doing phenomenal, no issues other than maintenance, and now driving another Duramax with the older interior like my Kong did, with the new interior, I would hope it's even better than this. But I will tell you, you can't hear the engines, so cabin noise is almost null. This is a really nice pickup, and again, whether you're going gas or diesel, whatever fits your needs, I would honestly say that, man, the interior of this is very, very nice, and it's nice to have that smooth power delivery. The Allison just does what it needs to do right through the gears. And we're going to do some more follow-up, obviously, with the new Tremor that we got, and I'll kind of show you guys what I mean. But I have no idea what gear this thing's in. This has a manual mode, if you will, where you can go to low and you'll see what gears you're allowing the transmission to have, whether it's 1 through 10. but it doesn't definitively tell you what gear you're in. The Ford itself goes through its gears with the little range down at the bottom, 1 through 10, and then of course if you're shifting it, and then when you're in a certain gear it's orange, then goes to white, and man, that thing just skips right through the gears. It does not skip the shift, but it does go quickly through the gears. Now, I would honestly have to say that Chevy could have kept these gauges, because I actually really enjoy some of the analog and some of the digital. I'm okay with all analog. I really don't need any of the digital. And you guys know I've kind of, beat on the Ford about their gauges. I think they're kind of bland for having such a large productivity area. Just seems like they could have done more detail in those gauges. Like at least these digital gauges down here, we have the little hash marks, we have all of that, so you can actually kind of just see a little bit more. Plus you get that full blue area where that's currently at, and I really appreciate that. I think they didn't have to go full digital, but I think Chevy's digital gauges are the best of the current full digital gauges. And then I also think that Ram's gauges do look nicer than the Ford also. They have a nice mix between the two, and they have tons and tons of different gauges. The heads-up display in here, which you can't really see, I think is probably, it's not as intuitive and informational as, say, the Ford one. I haven't messed with one in a Ram, so I honestly can't tell you. But, if you look down here, you'll see the D. The little floppy flop doesn't do anything until you pull it down to low. And then you can see right there that you can give it the full 10 gears. It's not going to tell us anything as it's going through them. It just limits the gears themselves. I am surprised about the fuel economy because this is a Gen 1 L5P. This is not the Gen 2. And a lot of people have said their Duramaxes haven't really even returned that good of fuel economy. So this is a very small spin. So, I mean, it is what it is, about 25 miles. I'm going to spend some time in this tomorrow. But, if you watch this, you can see the tackle go down when it's shifting, but I mean the power delivery is just very smooth and linear versus the actual torque shift with the 430s. Again, I will tell you, I don't know if it's because of the 430s. I've never experienced that, the 10-speed with that. My 08 Ford 6.4 diesel had 430s in it, but it only had a 6-speed torque shift, and it didn't cruise through those like that, or it had a very nice smooth linear feel to it. But I will admit, this is a nice pickup, and with the problems I've had with my Ford, I definitely missed that. And I know I have some guys on here that say I didn't like the Ram. You're right, I didn't like the 24 Ram at all. It felt like my 2010 Ram, and I think all the guys that have looked at Rams, old Rams, know that Ram hasn't updated that to the current half-ton look or size or anything, especially when it talks about the crew cab. I think you're losing out if you're going to go with a Ram when it comes to interior space, everything like that. Obviously, the Cummins is awesome, and a lot of guys like the 6.4 Hemi. I'm not a huge fan of that engine, but the Z transmission is a decent transmission for what it is, and a lot of guys love it. So yes, you guys are right. I didn't think it was the worst truck. I had problems with the 24 Ram, and I got rid of it, but the channel people voted, and they all wanted the Ford back, so we got another Ford in. We're having problems with this, so we're going to follow this journey along. I'm not in a financial position to go swap it out, but I got a good deal on that Ram, so I was able to jog out of it for a little bit until I could get another Ford Godzilla. But I could tell you, I'm not overly amused with the Godzilla or the Ford issues right now. I do like the truck color, the amenities inside of it, the plushness. Set that aside, the truck sits more at the dealership getting service and more miles on it driving for service than it actually does driven. So, and of course, fuel economy with the 430 and the torque shift is subpar so far. But this, on this 25-mile trip, averaged 21.8, and that was kind of getting into it a little bit just to get up and pick up to speed. You guys all know I don't speed in my videos. I don't do any of that. We are safe and cognizant of everybody else on the road. We are never putting anybody at danger. So, but getting up to highway speeds pretty quick, getting into it, it did really well. And fit and finish with 15,000 miles on it, being a couple years old. I am very, very pleased, and I love the control and the feel of the Chevy and GMC trucks when you're towing and driving. They seem to get even tighter and more into themselves when you're not, or sorry, when you are towing. And when we're not towing, it's just a nice, good feel. The new Ford has a very light steering, and I don't know if I'm all that amused. So this was the 2021 GMC Sierra Duramax checkout. Guys, we'll see you on the next one.